Welcome to our deep dive, into Seth Speaks. We're going to be exploring some, pretty mind-bending ideas from this book, where Jane Roberts chronicles her experiences as a trance medium, channeling this entity named Seth.
Right.
So get ready to kind of rethink consciousness, reality, and even what it means to be you.
What I think is really fascinating about Seth Speaks is that it's not just presenting these concepts as, abstract theories.
Yeah.
It's giving you a framework for understanding them and even like applying them in your own life.
Okay, so first things first. How does Seth define consciousness?
Well, Seth throws out this idea that consciousness is limited to our physical brains.
Okay.
Instead, imagine consciousness as this vast multidimensional energy field. And your physical body is just one small part of it.
Okay.
Kind of like an avatar you're using to interact with this physical reality.
So there's a bigger me beyond my physical body.
Right.
That's a lot to take in.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Seth says we have these inner senses, like a whole extra set of perception tools that let us tap into those other dimensions of reality.
Interesting.
It's like we're only using a fraction of our consciousness potential.
So we're basically walking around with superpowers we don't even know how to use.
You could say that.
Wow.
And here's another mind bender.
Okay.
Seth says time isn't linear like we experience it.
Okay.
He talks about this thing called the moment point, where past, present, and future all exist simultaneously.
Wait, so it's like all of time is happening at once?
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
Think of it like a movie reel. You're watching it frame by frame.
Okay.
But the entire movie already exists.
Okay.
Seth says consciousness is kind of like that.
Okay.
You're experiencing time as a flow, but on a deeper level, it's all happening now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's definitely a different way of looking at things.
Yeah.
And if consciousness isn't limited to our physical bodies, does that mean we're all connected somehow?
According to Seth, absolutely.
Yeah.
He describes this network of consciousness that links everything and everyone.
Interesting.
We each have our own individual perspective, but it's like we're all threads in the same tapestry.
Okay, so we're all connected. Time isn't linear. We have these hidden superpowers. Anything else I should know before my brain explodes?
Well, how about the idea that you are constantly creating your reality with your thoughts, beliefs, and emotion?
Okay.
Seth says we're not just passive observers. We're active participants in shaping our experiences.
It's like we're writing, directing, and starring in our own movie of life.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that brings us to the concept of the inner ego.
Okay.
Think of it as the director behind the scenes, constantly receiving information from those inner senses.
Okay.
And shaping your reality based on your beliefs and expectations.
So if our thoughts and emotions are so powerful, does that mean physical reality is just an illusion?
It's not that physical reality is fake.
Okay.
But rather it's just one way of interpreting the vastness of consciousness.
Okay.
Imagine you're wearing virtual reality goggles.
Right.
You're experiencing a reality.
Yeah.
But it's limited by the technology.
Right. Yeah.
Seth says our physical senses are kind of like that. They limit our perception to a small slice of what's actually possible.
So we're missing out on a whole lot more than we realize.
That's Seth's point. He says we often become ego-bound,
Okay.
too focused on our physical senses and limiting beliefs, which blocks us from accessing our true potential.
That's a bit unsettling, but also exciting.
Right.
Now, I know Seth has a lot to say about reincarnation and the afterlife.
Yes.
What are some of the key takeaways there?
Seth really flips the script on the traditional view of reincarnation.
Okay.
It's not about punishment or reward. It's about growth and exploration.
Okay.
Imagine it less like climbing a ladder and more like exploring a vast multidimensional landscape.
So we're not necessarily coming back as humans over and over again.
Not necessarily. Seth says there is no set path.
Okay.
You might experience different realities, historical periods, even other forms of consciousness.
Wow.
It's all about expanding your understanding of yourself and the universe.
That really challenges the idea of linear progression.
Yeah.
And what about those, spooky stories about ghosts and apparitions? How does Seth explain those?
Seth says these are often what he calls thought forms,
Okay.
like energetic imprints of strong emotions or unresolved issues.
Okay.
It's not that these entities are trapped or malevolent.
Okay.
It's more like they're echoes of intense energy that hasn't fully dissipated.
That's less scary and more fascinating.
Right.
What about the idea that we might encounter loved ones from past lives in the afterlife?
Seth suggests that's definitely possible.
Okay.
He says our experiences after death are shaped by our beliefs and knowledge.
Yeah.
It's like taking your most important lessons and relationships with you into the next phase of existence.
Okay, so we've got multidimensional consciousness, reincarnation as an exploration,
Yeah.
and the afterlife as a continuation of our personal growth.
Right.
I'm starting to see why Seth Speaks is considered such a mind-bending book.
Yeah, it really is.
What else is in store for us?
Well, if you ever felt like there's a bigger you out there, like a whole team of yous working behind the scenes.
Kind of, yeah.
Seth calls these probable selves.
Okay.
And says we can actually tap into their knowledge and experiences.
Wait, so there are other versions of me out there living out different possibilities?
That's right.
That's incredible. But how do we connect with them?
Seth says it happens through those sudden flashes of insight.
Okay.
Aha moments, or even like those unexpected urges to do something completely new.
Okay.
It's like your probable selves are sending you hints and nudges.
Interesting.
Guiding you toward your full potential.
So we're not just limited to the experiences of this one lifetime. We can draw on the wisdom and experiences of all of our probable selves.
Yes.
That's an incredibly empowering concept.
It is.
Okay.
And it gets even more expansive.
Oh, boy.
Seth introduces this idea of all that is.
Okay.
The ultimate creative force that exists within everything and everyone.
Okay.
It's not a separate external God, but rather the source of all consciousness and energy.
That's a big shift from the traditional religious view of God. It is. So we're all connected to this ultimate creative force, and we have the power to shape our own reality.
That is the essence of Seth's teachings.
My mind is officially blown. I think we need a moment to process all of this before we dive into the next layer of Seth Speaks.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll explore even more of Seth's fascinating ideas about consciousness, reality, and the nature of the soul.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Seth Speaks. We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to explore.
Yeah, I'm still wrapping my head around, this whole idea that we are like creating our own reality with our thoughts and emotions. It's incredibly empowering, but also a bit daunting. Like, if I'm in charge of my reality, why am I not living in a mansion on a tropical island right now?
That's a great question, and it's a question a lot of people have.
Yeah.
Seth explains that while we each have this immense, creative power, we're also part of a larger collective consciousness.
Okay.
Think of it like a giant orchestra. We're each playing our individual instruments.
Yeah.
But we're also contributing to a shared symphony.
So we're all co-creating reality together.
Exactly. Seth calls this mass agreement.
Okay.
We collectively agree on certain aspects of reality to create this shared experience.
Okay.
Like the laws of physics or the fact that, we all see the same chair.
Right.
But that doesn't mean we're like locked into this fixed reality.
Okay.
There's always room for individual and collective change.
Okay, that makes sense. But if there's this like mass agreement on a shared reality, how does anything ever change?
Well, Seth says that change happens when enough individuals start to shift their beliefs and expectations.
Okay.
It's like a critical mass of consciousness.
Okay.
They can tip the scales and create this new reality.
Interesting.
Think about major social shifts throughout history. The abolition of slavery, the women's suffrage movement, the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
These all started with individuals challenging the status quo.
Right.
And imagining a different reality.
So our individual thoughts and actions can really make a difference on a larger scale.
Absolutely. And Seth takes this even further. He talks about these things called coordinate points.
Okay.
These are areas where different realities intersect, kind of like energy vortexes.
Wow.
Some of these points are more conducive to certain types of experiences like creativity or healing, while others might present more challenges.
So it's like there's this invisible energetic landscape that influences our experiences in ways we're not even aware of.
Exactly. And Seth goes on to describe these fascinating electromagnetic energy units, or E units for short.
E units, okay.
Think of them as packets of consciousness carrying the energy of our thoughts and emotions.
Okay, so every thought and emotion has its own little energy packet.
Right. And Seth says that as these EE units gain intensity, they can actually manifest into physical reality.
Yeah.
It's like our thoughts and emotions are literally shaping the world around us.
Yeah. That's pretty mind-blowing. So if I'm constantly emitting these EE units, how do I make sure I'm sending out the good stuff and not accidentally manifesting a bunch of negative experiences?
Well, it's about becoming aware of your thoughts and emotions.
Okay.
And choosing to focus on the positive.
Okay.
It's not about denying negative emotion.
Right.
But rather learning to transform them into something more constructive.
Okay.
Remember, energy follows attention. What you focus on expands.
So if I want to create a more joyful and abundant reality, I need to focus my thoughts and emotions on joy and abundance.
Exactly. And this brings up another fascinating concept from Seth Speaks.
Okay.
This idea that consciousness isn't limited to humans.
Okay, so we're talking about animal consciousness.
Yes, and even plant consciousness.
Wow.
Seth says that everything in the universe is imbued with consciousness.
Okay.
From the smallest atom to the largest galaxy.
Ah.
And he emphasizes that animal consciousness is just as valid and important as human consciousness. And that we can learn a lot from observing the natural world.
Yeah. That's a beautiful perspective. It makes you realize we're all interconnected in ways we can't even imagine.
Right. And Seth really challenges this traditional hierarchical view of consciousness.
Okay.
With humans, at the top.
Right.
He says there are countless forms and expressions of consciousness throughout the universe, each with its own unique beauty and wisdom.
It's like we're all part of this vast cosmic dance, and every being is playing a role.
That's a great way to put it. And this ties into Seth's rejection of the traditional view of evolution.
Okay, how so?
Well, he says that consciousness creates form, not the other way around.
So it's not that we evolved from apes, but rather that consciousness is constantly evolving and creating new forms of expression, including, physical bodies.
Precisely. It's a radical shift in perspective.
Yeah.
But it opens up this whole new way of understanding ourselves and the universe.
Now, earlier, we touched upon the idea of speakers. These individuals who act as conduits for knowledge from other realms. Can we delve a bit deeper into that?
Of course, remember, Seth himself identifies as a speaker.
Right.
As does Jane Roberts.
Okay.
And Seth suggests that speakers have existed throughout history, often influencing spiritual practices and beliefs in ways we might not even realize.
So ancient prophets, mystics, and oracles might have been speakers tapping into those other dimensions of consciousness and bringing back knowledge and wisdom.
That's Seth's perspective, and he says speakers are still active today.
Really?
Working behind the scenes to help humanity evolve and expand its understanding of reality.
That's both fascinating and reassuring. It's like there's this hidden network of wise beings who are guiding us toward a more enlightened future.
Yeah.
But what makes someone a speaker? Can anyone become one?
Seth says it requires certain qualities and training.
Okay.
Including a strong and well-developed ego.
Okay.
A deep connection to one's inner self.
Okay.
And the ability to translate, those multidimensional concepts into a language that others can understand.
So it's not about being passively receptive to information.
Right.
It's about actively developing those inner senses and learning to communicate those insights effectively.
Exactly. It's a demanding path.
Yeah.
But one that can lead to profound personal growth and a deep understanding of the nature of reality.
Now, I know Seth has a lot to say about how to apply these concepts in our daily lives, especially when it comes to personal growth and transformation. What are some of the key techniques he suggests?
Well, we've already talked about changing sleep patterns to improve dream recall.
Yeah.
But Seth also emphasizes the importance of working with dreams more intentionally.
So it's not just about remembering our dreams.
Right.
It's about actively using them for guidance and problem solving.
Right. Seth suggests keeping a dream journal, recording our dreams in as much detail as possible as soon as we wake up.
Okay.
And then looking for patterns and symbols that might hold deeper meaning.
Okay.
He also encourages us to ask our dreaming selves specific questions before we go to sleep.
Interesting.
Setting an intention to receive guidance or insights.
So it's like giving our subconscious mind a homework assignment.
Yeah, you could say that.
But can we really influence the content of our dreams?
Seth says we have more control over our dream experiences than we might realize.
Oh, okay.
By setting clear intentions, engaging in visualization exercises, and cultivating a receptive mindset.
Okay.
We can create a more conducive environment for meaningful dreams.
That's exciting. It's like becoming the director of our own inner theater. And what about meditation? What role does meditation play in Seth's teachings?
Well, Seth views meditation as a powerful tool for calming the mind, connecting with our inner selves, and expanding our awareness.
Okay.
He doesn't prescribe a specific method, but rather encourages us to experiment with different techniques to find what resonates with us.
So whether it's mindfulness meditation, guided visualization, or simply sitting in stillness, the key is finding a practice that helps us cultivate a deeper connection to our inner world.
Exactly. And Seth suggests that regular meditation can have a transformative effect on our lives, helping us reduce stress, improve our mental and physical health, and even enhance our creativity and intuition.
Now, for our listeners who might be feeling a bit overwhelmed by all these mind-bending concepts, what's one key takeaway they can focus on right now?
I'd say the most important takeaway is this. You are not a victim of circumstance.
Okay.
You are a powerful creator, constantly shaping your reality with your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions.
Powerful stuff.
Even if you don't see the results, immediately trust that the universe is always responding to your energy and intentions.
That's a powerful message of hope and empowerment. But what about those times when we feel stuck or limited in our physical lives? Can Seth's teachings help us navigate those challenges?
Absolutely. One of the most profound concepts Seth introduces is that we're not limited to the experiences of this one lifetime.
Right.
We have access to the wisdom and experiences of our probable selves, those alternate versions of us living out different possibilities.
So it's like we have this infinite reservoir of knowledge and potential within us.
Exactly. And Seth gives us tools to tap into that potential.
Oh, okay.
Doing dream work meditation.
Yeah.
And simply paying attention to those intuitive nudges and aha moments.
Yeah.
That might be messages from our probable selves.
That's incredibly inspiring. It's like we're not just limited to the linear path of this one life. We can draw on the experiences and wisdom of all of our probable selves.
Yes.
This is definitely a lot to process.
It is.
Is there anything else you want to highlight before we move on?
Well, Seth also delves into the concept of all that is.
Right.
The ultimate creative force that exists within everything.
Yeah.
It's not a separate external God.
Okay.
But rather the source of all consciousness and energy, and guess what?
What?
We're all connected to it.
So we're not just creators of our own individual realities, but we're also co-creators of the universe.
That's the beauty of Seth's teachings.
Wow.
It's both empowering and humbling.
Mm-hmm.
We have immense power to shape our own lives.
Yeah.
But we're also part of something much greater than ourselves.
This has been an incredible journey so far. I'm starting to see the world in a whole new light.
Yeah, me too.
But before we dive into the next layer of Seth Speaks, I think we need a moment to let all this sink in.
Okay.
Stay tuned for part 3 of our deep dive, where we'll explore even more of Seth's fascinating ideas about consciousness, reality, and the nature of the soul. Welcome back to our deep dive into Seth Speaks. We've journeyed through some truly mind-bending concepts, from creating our reality to probable selves, and, the vastness of all that is...
It's been quite a ride.
It has, but, the real magic happens when we start applying these concepts to our daily lives.
Right.
So let's get practical. We've talked about dream work and meditation.
Yeah.
Are there any other tools that Seth offers for personal growth and transformation?
One of the simplest yet most profound techniques Seth suggests is working with affirmations.
Affirmations?
These are those positive statements that you repeat to yourself either silently or out loud to reprogram your subconscious mind and align your energy with what you want to experience.
So it's like we're deliberately planting seeds of positive thought, in our mental garden.
Precisely. And the key here is to choose affirmations that resonate with you on a deep level and feel emotionally charged.
Okay.
It's not just about repeating empty words,
Yeah.
It's about feeling the truth of those affirmations in your heart and soul.
That makes sense. It's like giving our subconscious mind a clear blueprint for the reality that we want to create.
Yeah.
But what about those times, when we're bombarded with negative thoughts or emotions? How do we handle those?
Seth acknowledges that negative thoughts and emotions are a part of the human experience.
Right.
But he encourages us not to get caught up in them.
Okay.
Instead, he suggests observing them without judgment.
Okay.
Like watching clouds passing by in the sky and then gently redirecting our focus toward more positive and life-affirming thoughts.
So it's like we're training our minds to be more selective about what we focus on.
Exactly. And remember those benign intrusive impulses we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Those sudden urges that seem out of character but might lead to, new discoveries or growth.
Right.
Seth encourages us to pay attention to those and explore where they might lead us.
It's like trusting those whispers of intuition, even if they don't make logical sense at first.
Right. And Seth also emphasizes the importance of recognizing and working with symbols.
Symbols. Oh.
Remember, symbols are more than just arbitrary signs.
Yeah.
They're energetic representations of deeper realities.
Okay.
By paying attention to the symbols that appear in our dreams, our thoughts, and even our daily lives, we can gain valuable insights into our subconscious minds and the patterns that are shaping our reality.
So it's like we're learning to decode the language of our soul.
Precisely. And Seth suggests that we can even use symbols intentionally in our creative visualizations and affirmations to amplify their power and align our energy with what we want to manifest.
Yeah. Now, throughout our deep dive into Seth Speaks, we've encountered so many mind-blowing concepts.
We have.
Is there a particular concept or technique that has resonated with you the most?
For me personally, I found the idea of probable selves to be incredibly empowering.
Yeah.
It's like realizing that we're not limited to the experiences of this one lifetime.
Right.
That we have access to the wisdom and experiences of countless other versions of ourselves who are living out different possibilities.
Right.
It's a reminder that we have infinite potential within us.
I completely agree. It's like having a cosmic support team, cheering us on and offering guidance every step of the way.
Yeah, I love that.
And that brings me to another question. If our thoughts and emotions are so powerful, do we have a responsibility to use them wisely?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Seth emphasizes that we're not just creating our own reality.
Okay.
We're also co-creating the reality of the world around us.
Okay.
Our thoughts, emotions, and actions have a ripple effect that extends far beyond ourselves.
So it's not just about personal growth and transformation.
Yeah.
It's about contributing to a more positive and harmonious world, for everyone.
Exactly. Seth's teachings encourage us to be conscious creators, to use our power wisely and compassionately,
Right.
and to remember that we're all interconnected. What we do to others, we do to ourselves.
That's a powerful message to carry with us as we, move forward on our individual and collective journeys.
It is.
As we wrap up our deep dive into Seth Speaks, what's one final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Remember that you are more powerful than you realize.
Okay.
You are a unique and irreplaceable expression of the universe with infinite potential within you. Embrace your power, create consciously, and trust in the benevolent unfolding of your journey.
That's a beautiful and inspiring message to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible exploration of Seth Speaks.
It's been my pleasure.
We encourage you to dive into the book yourself and, continue your own journey of self-discovery and conscious creation. And remember, the adventure is just beginning.